Let's talk about why I decided to eat mostly fruit. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. I appreciate everybody who's subscribed and who's watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button in your lower right-hand corner, I believe it is. I appreciate all the love and everything you guys have sent me. But today I'm gonna continue my journey and just provide more information on why I decided to eat majority fruit. And it really stems from a couple things. Number one, through my studies, through building my philosophy on health, through my coaching on dietary practices and habits, I realized that fruit is the most optimal food on the planet for the human species. Whether that be studying Dr. Morris or Herbert Shelton or T.C. Fry or some of these other individuals that have helped mentor me, Lauren Whitman, as well as Yaqui Raphael. Like it's become obvious to me that fruit is the most optimal food. It's not saying that that's the only thing you should eat, but in my opinion and based on my philosophies, it's the most energy efficient food that you should eat. Meaning when you eat it, it's providing you more electrical energy than any food on the planet, bar none. It's also one of the easiest foods for us humans to digest. Right? So when you add those two things together, you're receiving a lot of energy and you're not really expelling a lot of energy to digest it. Therefore, net energy wise, there isn't a better food on the planet. So, that's kind of one of the main bases. Number two, for me, as I journey towards the frugivore and fruitarian path, where right now I'm about 85% fruit. I shouldn't say fruit, fruitarian. One of the obstacles that I've had is implementing the leafy greens, nuts, and the seeds. The fruit to me has been a fairly easy transition. I love fruit. Fruit tastes amazing. I'm eating some oranges and apples right now. And I have some of my favorite foods and I go through phases. Sometimes, I'm heavy on mangoes or I'm heavy on melons, but a lot of times those things aren't in season, so they're not tasting as good. So you got to kind of transition and your body makes these transitions. And it's also good because it stops you from getting bored in what you're eating. Like if you're eating the same thing every single day, you can get bored and then that's where bad habits start to creep in. And I've seen it happen. I've went through all of it. But for me, fruits are so satiating. That's why I say they're the optimal food. I mean, if you look at it from a physiological standpoint, obviously I already told you about the net energy of how they're the most electrical food on the planet, the most net energy efficient food on the planet. But also, to me, they're the most satiating. They're the most appealing to the eye. They're most appealing to the smell. So you're utilizing your senses here. It's obvious to me that fruit is the food that was provided by the creator, whoever you think that is, to be the food for human consumption. But for me, leafy greens and salads has always been tougher. Now I do eat my salads. I just don't eat enough of them yet. And I'm working to implement that into my daily practice and my daily habits. And I advise everyone out there who's looking to get more on the closer to optimal health and have the optimal diet to implement those salads in. And when I say salads, I'm not saying the salads you get at Chili's or when you go out to restaurants, because they're full of a lot of things that you should not be consuming, including the dressings. But to me, from a satiation standpoint, I love the leafy greens. I do love cucumbers. I like tomatoes for the most part. And I love avocado. But there's some caveats to that because the avocado is very fattening. So you don't want to eat avocado all the time, especially if you want to get as close as you can to the 80-10-10 balanced diet, which I profess and which I totally believe in. If you haven't read the book 80-10-10 by Douglas Graham, I highly advise you to do that. A lot of my practices and philosophies are based on what he teaches. But so if you take out, if you can't have an avocado all the time, you shouldn't say can't, nothing's in absolutes, but you shouldn't be having avocado all the time. So now you're left to your greens, your tomatoes, your cucumbers. And then it comes down to the dressing. And for me, like, I have no problem eating salad with like a vinaigrette type of dressing or something like that. But the vinaigrette, I mean, we're talking about isolated, most of the time rancid fats. That's your, because that's all salad dressing is. I mean, it don't matter how you slice it. You know, it's fat. So when you're looking at raw or fruit-based dressings, you got to find the right one. And I have a couple that are pretty good. If you reach out to me in my comments, I can share some of those with you. And they're good, don't get me wrong. But from a satiation standpoint, they just don't compare to fruits. And that's been my biggest struggle there. And that's one of the reasons that I decided, you know, to eat mostly fruit until I get to the point where I can mix in the leafy greens and the salads, basically. Nuts and seeds, you know, I have them sparingly, which you should have sparingly. They're very fattening as well. You don't want to eat those all the time. So optimally, you want to be close to 50-50 on your salads and your fruits. Optimally. You know, Dr. Moore says it best, like the fruits clean you out and the vegetables and the greens, they build you up. You know, most of us need to be cleaned out though. Like we've been eating so bad for so long, we need to be flushed. We need to be cleaned out. So the building part is really moot at this juncture. But ultimately, you know, and then there's other factors that come into play too. You know, teeth. I've heard of some issues with teeth because if you're eating a lot of the acidic fruits, they can do damage to your teeth. I have not experienced that yet, but I know some people that have, and that's a good reason to implement the salads into the diet as well. They keep your teeth strong, per se. But ultimately, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'd love to hear where you guys are at. If any of you guys are, you know, a raw foodist or, you know, trying to go frugivore or are frugivore / fruitarian. Or just raw vegan or whatever the case may be, you know, share your thoughts on that. But for me, like those are my basic reasons on why I've decided to eat fruit. And look, the benefits have been tremendous. I mean, I've lost pretty close to 20 pounds and I've pretty much stabilized after 20. A lot of my ailments from eczema to stomach gut issues to irritable bowel syndrome type of things have dissipated immensely. So there's so many benefits to it because you're allowing your body with that net energy efficiency to have more vital and nerve energy to perform the healing mechanisms that are needed to completely clean and heal you internally as well as externally. So that's what I got today. I appreciate everybody out there. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this. Like I said, this is my journey. I do coaching if any of you guys are interested in getting closer to the optimal diet. I'm putting together my website at the moment as well as an evaluation program that you guys are going to love. It is called the EAT, which is my philosophy, the EAT philosophy, Optima scale that will measure how close you are to optimal health based on your dietary habits. So, like I said, give me a thumbs up, drop some comments, and I appreciate every single one of you who take the time to watch my videos. Peace and love, everybody.